Hey Bears fans, buckle up because this is going to be a wild one. The NFL trade deadline is here, and all eyes are on Chicago. Every year, there's this feeling of hope that maybe, just maybe, this is the time the front office makes a move that shifts the direction of the franchise. And this year, it feels different. The Bears aren't just looking to patch holes. They're trying to set a tone for what the rest of the season, and even next season, could look like. So today, we're diving deep into possible trade targets, realistic moves, and the kind of deals that could give this team the shot of adrenaline it's been missing. Let's start where it hurts most, the defense. It's been up and down all season, but when you talk about what separates a good team from a contender, it's that ability to pressure the quarterback. The Bears need more of that. They need players who can disrupt, who can make opposing offenses uncomfortable, who can turn a 3rd and 5 into a punt. And that starts with finding the right edge rusher. There are a few names circulating out there, but one that's caught the attention of everyone is Trey Hendrickson. The Bengals have been playing coy, not sure if they really want to move him, but teams are calling. Hendrickson isn't just a solid pass rusher. He's the kind of guy who brings energy, intensity, and leadership to a locker room. If I were in charge, I'd absolutely throw a 3rd-round pick on the table for him. That's a fair price for a player who can immediately raise the ceiling of your defense. Then there's Danielle Hunter. This one's interesting. He's in his early 30s, still highly productive, and the kind of player who can dominate stretches of a game when he's locked in. He's got another year left on his deal, but the number's big, which means whoever trades for him will have to get creative with the cap. You could restructure, maybe add a void year, find a way to balance the hit. If the Vikings are willing to move him, and if the Bears are willing to think long-term, this could be a game changer. You get a player who not only brings production, but also experience. He's been through playoff battles, he knows how to prepare, and he could be that veteran presence to help develop younger guys on this defensive front. Jermaine Johnson is another name floating around. The Jets are saying all the right things. We're not trading him, he's part of our future. But let's be honest, everyone's tradable if the offer makes sense. Johnson's still young, still developing, and while he's had flashes of brilliance, injuries have slowed his rise. He's the kind of player who might thrive with a fresh start and more opportunities to play every down. A 4th-round pick feels fair. Nothing crazy, but a move that could pay off if he hits his stride in Chicago. The Bears could use more youth and speed on the edge, and Johnson fits that profile perfectly. Now, you can't talk about potential trade targets without bringing up Kayvon Thibodeau. The Giants reportedly want a 1st-rounder, but that's a non-starter. No one's giving that up right now. A 2nd might even be too rich, but if you could somehow land him for a 3rd, that's where it gets interesting. He's young, strong, and fits the physical profile that defensive coordinator Alan Williams seems to love. Big frame, long arms, good balance against the run. He's still developing as a pass rusher, but there's real upside there. It's the kind of move that says, we're not just building for today, we're setting up for tomorrow. And while we're on the subject, don't sleep on Bradley Chubb. The Dolphins might actually move him. He's been productive, but not dominant, and that contract is heavy, around $19 million per season. Still, he's a reliable veteran who could step in immediately and give the Bears a boost off the edge. You're not giving up a high pick for him, maybe a 4th, maybe even a 5th, but it's a move that makes sense if you're looking to stabilize the pass rush for the rest of the year. The Bears have struggled to get consistent pressure, and Chubb could help fix that, even if it's not a long-term answer. Beyond those headline names, there are some interesting secondary options that could make sense depending on price. Guys like Chase Young or Carl Granderson, both with ties to Dennis Allen, could step into this system and pick it up quickly. They know the kind of defensive language being used, and that matters when you're joining a team mid-season. Sometimes familiarity can be the difference between a guy contributing right away and taking weeks to adjust. You've also got Will McDonald IV, a speed rusher who might not fit perfectly here, but who brings the kind of quickness off the line that Chicago's been missing. He's not every down material yet, but if you want someone to come in on 3rd and long and just hunt quarterbacks, he could do that. If we go even deeper, there are rotational names like Arden Key, Arnold Ebiketie, and Matthew Judon, players who might not blow you away but can provide depth and versatility. Then there's Von Miller, who's not the same player he once was, but still has moments where he looks like vintage Vaughn. Draymond Jones is another possibility. He's been playing a hybrid role, bouncing between end and tackle and putting up solid numbers. 4.5 sacks in 9 games is nothing to overlook, even if he's not a perfect schematic fit. Someone like Anthony Jennings could also make sense, more of a run stopper than a pass rusher, but you need those guys too. If he can help set the edge and make teams one-dimensional, he's worth a look. And here's one that might surprise people, Boy Mafe. The Seahawks might not be eager to move him, but his deal is expiring, and that always opens the door for discussions. If the Bears can get him for a mid to late round pick, it's a low-risk, high-reward move. Mafe got athletic upside and is still finding his consistency, but in the right rotation, he could really pop. Now, I know what some fans are thinking. What about a big splash? What about going all in on someone like Max Crosby or Myles Garrett? Let's keep it real. Those guys aren't going anywhere. They're franchise cornerstones. It's fun to dream, sure, but the Bears have to stay grounded in what's realistic. You want impact players, but you also don't want to mortgage the future for a short-term fix. That's why these mid-tier moves, the 3rd and 4th round price range guys, make the most sense right now. You improve the roster, you stay flexible for next year, and you keep your high picks intact for the draft. Shifting gears for a second, let's talk defensive tackle, because if there's one area besides edge that could use an upgrade, it's the interior. Stopping the run has been decent, but generating interior pressure has been inconsistent. Quinnen Williams would be the dream addition. He's powerful, explosive, and completely changes the way offenses have to block you. The problem? The Jets reportedly want a first-round pick, and that's where the conversation probably ends. But if the price somehow drops to a second, the Bears should absolutely be in. He's the kind of player that can anchor a line for years, and pairing him with Montez Sweat would be terrifying for opposing quarterbacks. If the Bears want to go more affordable, someone like Shelby Harris could make sense. He's a veteran who understands the game, can rotate in, and bring steady production. He's not flashy, but you know what you're getting every snap. Devin Godchaux from New Orleans is another option, more of a run stuffer. You don't really need another one of those since Andrew Billings has been doing that job well, but depth never hurts. Then there's a wild card like Tyree Wilson, still young, still figuring things out with the Raiders. Things haven't totally clicked for him yet, but the talent's there. He could be a hybrid player, moving between inside and outside, depending on the look. And I can't forget about Calais Campbell. Even at 38 years old, the guy just keeps producing. He's one of those rare veterans who still brings juice every snap. If his team decides to sell and he becomes available, that's a guy you call immediately. Not just for what he does on the field, but for what he brings off of it. Leadership, professionalism, experience. He's the kind of presence that helps younger players grow, and this locker room could benefit from that. So, as the deadline ticks closer, the question isn't whether the Bears will make a move, it's what kind of move they'll make. Do they swing for a long-term piece who can anchor this defense for the next few seasons? Or do they make a short-term addition to try to stay competitive right now? The balance between those two paths is tricky, but what's clear is that standing still isn't an option. The roster has holes, and if Chicago wants to take that next step, this is the moment to act. If there's one position that has quietly become just as important as the pass rush, it's cornerback. The Bears have their core in Jalen Johnson and Kyler Gordon, but depth has been an issue all season. When one guy goes down or starts struggling, there isn't much behind them to stabilize the secondary. That's why, as we head into this trade deadline, I think cornerback could easily be the sneaky position to watch. You don't necessarily need a superstar here. What you need is someone steady, reliable, and experienced enough to step in right away without needing weeks to adjust. And that's exactly where a player like Rasul Douglas fits in. Douglas has been the definition of solid. He's not flashy, he's not a lockdown guy who's going to follow top receivers all over the field, but he's dependable. He knows how to read quarterbacks, how to play within different schemes, and most importantly, he's not afraid to tackle. For the Bears, he would be that perfect short-term rental, someone who can come in, handle the outside corner role for the second half of the season, and bring consistency to a secondary that's been up and down. The beauty of this move is that you wouldn't have to break the bank. A mid to late round pick could probably get it done, and you wouldn't be tied to anything long-term. Another intriguing name is Alani Taylor. He's still young, still on his rookie deal, and has experience playing both in the slot and outside. That kind of versatility is huge in a defense like this, where matchups change week to week. He's also familiar with Dennis Allen's system, which means the learning curve will be minimal. If the Saints decide to make him available, the Bears should absolutely be in the conversation. He's the type of player you can take a flyer on, evaluate the rest of the season, and then decide if he's worth keeping beyond this year. Now, here's a name that might surprise some people: Tariq Woolen from Seattle. Over the past couple of weeks, he's been playing well, but there's been some talk about his fit in that defensive scheme. Sometimes, even good players just don't match perfectly with the system, and when that happens, teams start listening to offers. I'm not saying Seattle is desperate to move him. Far from it. But if the right deal came along, they might consider it. Woolen has size, speed, and instincts. He's still raw in some areas, but his upside is undeniable. If you could get him for a third or fourth round pick, that's a move that could pay off big down the line. Cam Taylor-Britt is another corner who's worth keeping an eye on. He's not having his best year statistically, but he's shown he can play in this league. If the price is right, say a late-round swap or a conditional pick, that's another option for depth and competition. Sometimes it's not about finding the next star. It's about building a room where no one feels too comfortable, where every player knows someone is right behind them waiting for a shot. That's how you keep the standard high. Now, let's talk about someone who doesn't even require a trade. Asani Samuel Jr., remember, he had that serious neck surgery in the offseason, but he's been cleared to play again. That's a big deal. When healthy, he's a talented player with real coverage skills, especially on the outside. If I'm the Bears, I'm on the phone with his agent yesterday. Bring him in for a workout, do your own medical check, and if everything looks good, sign him. You don't have to give up a draft pick, and you get a potential difference maker for nothing more than a roster spot. Even if he's not ready to start right away, you can stash him on the practice squad and get him back in a game shape. If it works out, you've got a solid corner for the rest of the season, and maybe even longer. There are a few other cornerbacks worth mentioning, players who might not grab headlines, but could quietly help this defense. Isaac Yiadom has ties to Dennis Allen and understands his style. He's been banged up, but when healthy, he's a physical player who can help in press coverage. Christian Fulton is another option, though he's had injury issues too. He hasn't lived up to expectations in Kansas City, but sometimes a change of scenery is all a player needs. Mike Hughes could also make sense. He's played both nickel and outside corner and brings experience. He's under contract with Atlanta, so it might take some negotiating, but he's the type of steady veteran who can help younger corners adjust. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on our Chicago Bears. And don't be shy. Drop your thoughts on the news in the comments below. Whispers are rattling through the Chicago Bears locker room, and if early reports are to be believed, the atmosphere is far from calm. Sources claim that Caleb Williams, the promising young quarterback, was already turned heads with his on-field vision and leadership, allegedly made a jaw-dropping declaration. "If he comes back, I'm out." The comments, reportedly made in a heated exchange behind closed doors, have set off a frenzy among Bears fans and NFL insiders alike. Who is he? Speculation is running wild. Some insiders suggest the remark refers to a veteran quarterback who, after months of uncertainty, is rumored to be considering a return to Chicago. Others hint that it could involve a high-profile signing the Bears have been linked to, someone whose presence in the locker room might directly clash with Williams' rising star. Either way, the implication is clear. Williams sees his future as a starter and won't tolerate anyone undermining his position. Inside sources describe the locker room as stunned following the remark. Veteran players are said to be quietly discussing the potential fallout, while coaches are reportedly weighing their options carefully. Could the team risk losing one of its most promising young talents simply to accommodate a returning veteran? The tension is palpable. Analysts are already debating whether management can navigate this minefield without triggering a full-blown controversy. Fans have taken to social media, with reactions ranging from shock to outright support for Williams. Many argue that the young quarterback has earned his place and that the Bears must prioritize building around him. Meanwhile, some are curious or anxious to see who could possibly provoke such a strong response from Williams, sparking endless debate across forums and sports shows. As of now, the Bears organization has declined to comment officially, fueling further speculation. But one thing is certain. If this rumor holds any truth, the coming weeks could define the future of Chicago's quarterback situation, possibly forcing management into a high-stakes decision. The locker room may never be the same again, and fans are watching every move, waiting for the next explosive development. Caleb Williams' words might just have set the stage for one of the most dramatic off-field stories in recent Bears history. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay updated with exclusive news about our Chicago Bears, be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that like button. We can't wait to hear your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next video.